You're listening to the Shure MV7 microphone, which in my opinion is the best microphone for beginners. If you're someone who's looking to start a podcast, or if you're diving into content creation and you want to have a dedicated microphone, then this is my pick. And in this video, I'm going to show you just a few of the settings and the features of this microphone and how you can achieve a sound like this. Let's jump right in. So with the Shure MV7 microphone, it is a USB microphone, which allows you to connect it to your computer with just one cable. And because it connects to your computer, there is an app that goes along with it. It is called the Shure MOTIV App. And what this app does is allow you to change some of the settings of the microphone to give you a little bit of a different sound. This, in my opinion, is one of the reasons why this microphone is great for beginners, because you can get a great quality sound right out of the microphone. Not only that, you have some customization that you can play around with inside of the app. And I'm going to walk you through some of those settings. So this is what it sounds like with the auto level. If you were to just plug the microphone in, pull up the app, this is what it's going to sound like under the auto level preset. Now you can adjust a couple things like the monitor mix, and I'm actually monitoring exactly what I'm hearing through these headphones by connecting the headphone jack to the bottom of the microphone. What that allows me to do is hear exactly what I'm saying, but then through my computer, I can actually send the computer audio through the microphone into my headphones. This is really useful for podcasts because I can hear myself speaking and I can monitor my own sound. At the same time, I can hear a guest speaking if I have them on a Zoom call or if I'm using another streaming platform to record the interview. And with this setting, the monitor mix, I can either turn up the microphone in my headphones when I'm hearing myself, or I can balance it to more of the playback so that I can hear the other person better, or whatever's coming out of my computer, I can hear that better over myself. This next setting, called the mic position, that's simply just a way of figuring out how much gain the microphone needs to have. So there's two settings with that. It's near. In this case, the microphone is right in front of my mouth, so it's not too far away. But I'm going to go ahead and test out what the far setting sounds like. So with the far setting, you can tell it's a little bit louder. And as I said, it's basically just figuring out what level of gain does the microphone need to have. So if you had this positioned far away, it's going to turn up the microphone so you don't have to be right close on it. I will say that by doing that, you're going to hear a little bit more of the ambient noise in the room if you don't have any treatment on your walls or your ceilings, kind of like I do in this room. So I'm going to keep it on the near because I usually have the microphone right in front of my mouth. And so there's no need for me to have the far setting on for this particular setting. So now moving on to the next setting, which is the tone. That's going to essentially change the EQ, or the equalization of the microphone. So it's set right now to natural, which is going to be flat. But if I wanted to switch it to bright, it's probably going to sound a little bit higher, a little bit more airy. So let's see what that sounds like. So this is what it sounds like with the bright. In a certain way, it sounds like there's more air in my voice. There's more air in the microphone. So if you like that sound, then you can definitely go with this setting. Or if you like more of a dark sound, this is what it sounds like. So this is a dark sound where it kind of muffles a little bit. Honestly, I'm not a fan of the way that this sounds, at least particularly for my voice. And so I would definitely choose between the natural and the bright setting, just so that it sounds more natural, or as you can hear it now, or it sounds a little bit more bright like you're hearing now. Now, let's say you want to dial in some of these settings a little bit further. You can actually switch over to manual mode, which is where I typically dial in the settings exactly how I like. What's cool about this microphone is that it does have a mic mute setting. And so it's actually on the microphone itself. There's a button that you can press that will mute the microphone sound. So you don't have to worry about, trying to find the mute button on Zoom or whatever platform you're using. You can literally just press the mute button that's right here physically on the microphone. You can also do so using the app if you just hit this switch. you won't be able to hear me talking. And so you can use that switch there as well. Now the mic gain is how loud the microphone is. It's kind of how sensitive it is to sound. So the higher it is, the louder the microphone is going to be. The lower it is, the lower the microphone volume is going to be. Now you want to have it so you can hear it, but you don't want it to be too loud, or else you'll start to introduce what's called distortion, where it kind of things are just too loud, it's blasting too much, and it doesn't sound very clean. So I usually keep mine at around 30 dBs. That's just what I found works for how close I have the mic and also the volume at which I'm talking. So you might have to adjust this up or down, but just know that this is adjustable. We also have that same monitor mix that we can change the balance between whether we hear more of ourselves in the microphone or if we hear more of the sound in what's coming back from the computer. Now the EQ, there's a couple settings that we can choose for the EQ. We have this one here that has what's called a high pass filter. Basically what that does is it kind of removes some of the low frequencies that we don't necessarily want in the microphone. And so I'm going to go ahead and switch to that. It's subtle, but you won't be able to hear as much of the bass frequencies that you normally would hear maybe when you're touching the microphone, or maybe you accidentally bump it. And so let me just go back to the flat profile and do the same thing. And so there is more bass, just because I have a lot more bass in my voice, but it does pick up more of like the bumps. You can hear that low end when you're bumping the microphone, and the high pass filter will cut out some of those low frequencies. I'm doing the same thing and you can't hear it as much. The next one is called the presence boost. So let me flip over to that. Basically, that just accentuates the frequencies of the human voice. So it may sound like it's more present. My voice is more present. If you're wearing headphones, it feels like I'm in your ears a little bit more. So this one doesn't sound too bad. Everybody's voice is different, so you want to test it out and make sure it doesn't sound overpowering. I think for mine, it works. It's okay. And for this microphone, I think it does a great job. The last setting here is high pass and the presence boost. So we're kind of combining these middle two, and we're creating a high pass filter that's cutting out a lot of those bumps, and we are increasing the presence. So this does have a unique sound to it. I don't know that I'm particularly a fan of it the way that my voice is. I like to have a little bit more bass in my recordings, but test it out for your voice and see kind of how it sounds. And, if you like it, then go with it. This next setting here is called the limiter. What the limiter does is it prevents the vocal recording from what's called clipping. It produces those loud volume spikes. It just kind of cuts those off so that it's not so jarring for the listener or for the recording. So sometimes I will click that on. It's not a huge deal if you don't have it on. It's not like it's going to drastically improve the quality of the microphone, but you can go ahead and throw it on if you like that. The setting that will probably make more of a difference is the compressor. So with the light setting on, this is still very subtle, but basically what the compressor is doing is loudening some of the quiet parts, as well as lowering the volume of some of the louder parts, but then allowing the whole entire volume of the audio to be louder. Now let me move to the medium, and it's doing that even more. So even talking this low sounds like it's still loud enough. That's because the compressor is increasing the volume of some of the smaller and softer parts of the audio. Now moving into the heavy compressor, this is maybe where it sounds more like a radio voice, where you got that radio sound and the sound is like really in your face. It does seem like it's a little bit more quote unquote processed, but that's what a compressor does. And so if you like this sound, if you like this effect, then of course go with it. For me, I like to stick with a light or medium amount of compression. It is a personal choice and it depends on what type of recording that you're doing. But for a more natural sound, I think having light to medium compression makes it seem like it's not distracting or that it sounds over processed, if you will. And so while these are all the settings that come inside of the Shure MOTIV app, you can use this microphone and it sounds really good without using any of these settings. All you have to do is use this for your next Zoom call, your next recording via StreamYard or Ecamm or OBS, live streaming, whatever it is you want to do online. All you have to do is plug in the microphone using the USB-C cable, select that as your microphone, and you can even use it as your speaker and then connect your headphones to it so that you can hear what's coming through your computer, and then you're off to the races. Also, check out this playlist of videos of other gear that I recommend for starting your first podcast or creating content online. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.